What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. New Orleans Saints goals for the weekend. Going into a bye week, I would say, first off, nobody get arrested. It's been a bit of a tough year for the Saints in that regard. Second off, stay and get healthy and get ready for this final push. And interestingly, y'all, just to double check me here, the Saints have the Falcons at the other edges, right? Okay, thank you. So, we just mentioned for LSU, everything comes down to this A&M game. And make no mistake, the Saints game is not as singular, but it pretty damn near does come down to this Atlanta Falcons game on the road, where if you win, not only will you gain an entire another game on the Falcons, who at this point, they're more of a threat to win the South than the Bucs, right?
About the same.
No?
Yeah, about record-wise, I think they're the exact same.
Yeah, in my opinion, they're about the same.
If you're asking the question, do I think?
I mean,
that's
like
what you're
quality
asking.
of team.
I
Yes,
think,
I mean like quality
yes.
of team.
I think the Falcons are more quality than the Bucks.
So let's just call them then, and even if we are splitting hairs, let's call them the biggest threat to you winning the NFC South. You're a game up. If you win, not only do you win into their house, so you'll have a home game comeback, but you'll be 2 games up directly with the head-to-head. So it's a massive, massive game. You also be 6-5, so it pulls you above 500, whereas a loss does all of the complete opposite. It ties you, gives them the tiebreaker. You're at 5-6 all of a sudden. You feel awful coming out of a bye week. It changes the entire tenor of the season. And I keep going back to this quote. And by the way, what a big weekend of football next week, boys. You kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, there is going to be a ton on the line. So help me out. So we're going to get Thanksgiving on Thursday, right?
That works, yeah.
At 23rd feels early, but I feel like Thanksgiving on Thursday. And then, so that's going to be great. We're going to watch all the NFL football then, eat delicious meals, yada, yada, yada. Egg bowl at night. Let's go. Then 11 a.m. LSU season will be on the line. And then Sunday, when you're probably eating delicious turkey gumbo made out of turkey stock and everything else, the Saints season is going to be on the line in a lot of ways. I mean, the turkey season football is going to be popping off next weekend.
You have 3 games on Thanksgiving in the NFL.
What do we got next week? I haven't even looked at the
You've
Thanksgiving
got
slate yet.
Packers at Lions, Commanders at Cowboys, 49ers at Seahawks. And then on Friday, you get Dolphins at Jets.
Oh, and a little Friday. Oh, man, our cup overfloweth this football weekend.
And by the way, the Bucks are at the 49ers this week. So you could pick up a game on them as well.
There you go. That's probably going to be a loss there.
Half a game, but
so it's going to be a massive weekend, a ton of line for the New Orleans Saints. And I loved what Mickey Loomis said when he went on WWL radio, saying, quote, every team is different. And I think when you get into these stretch runs, you're not building character, you're revealing it. So the character of our team will be revealed over these next 7 games. And am I reading too much into it, boys? Am I reading too much into it? Or is that because maybe this is what I want that to read like, because we talked about it with Nick the other day. Like, is this front office and ownership capable of separating results from the actual objective analysis of what needs to be done? That, to me, kind of feels like that is turning up the pressure a little bit on this staff and these players right now.
You would hope so. You would hope that would be the case. You would hope that they would take a look at everything and not just, well, we won the division. Like, okay, that's great. But if you win the division and you are a 9-8 football team and it's just a very bad division and you haven't made the strides that you want to make, will you do something about it? Or will you lean back and kind of use that as a guardrail? Yeah.
That's kind of the question. I feel like this is, no more this. Okay. Dennis Allen's 2 years into this thing. This to me does feel a bit like Loomis. And again, I might be reading too much into this, but it does feel a bit like saying, hey man, there ain't no more building it. Like there ain't no more like we're getting better. We just need time. You're deep into this stretch run, 500, lead the division, 7 games to go. How are you going to finish? Because ultimately that's going to reveal what type of team you are and what type of coach you are. And, if you're the Saints, you can sit there and think you have a good team. You can say you can be a good team like they do every single week in that locker room, and we just got to figure it out. We don't know what the problem is. We got to figure it out. Okay, well, there ain't no more time for that. It's time to go prove that you are a good team. And that's the beautiful part about football, boys. There ain't no hiding. The eye in the sky doesn't lie. You can't piss on us and tell us it's raining. You can't gaslight us into thinking that you're good. Ultimately, the results are going to prove what you are. And, well, we're gonna learn. We're going to learn. Starting next week with the Atlanta Falcons. Enjoy this bye week and then gear up for this final push.
Like, you have to do something different. Right, winning a bad division right now, I don't think that should keep everyone safe. You have to show that the narrative can be different for multiple games in a row. It can't just be 2 games on, 2 games off, 2 games on, 2 games off. That's who you've been this year. I mean, you can look at the trends of how they've played, and it hasn't been consistent. Like, us 2 games is not consistent. Now, you haven't faltered for more than 2 games, but you have got to show progression. I mean, your head coach has the 14th worst all-time winning percentage of any head coach in NFL history. All right, so we know that. Everyone knows that. You have to show signs of consistency here down the stretch because you also have the easiest schedule in the NFL down the stretch. No other team has an easier schedule than you do. You have to take advantage of that. You have to go take advantage of the opportunity you have right now. I mean, the rest of the teams on your schedule, you should have a high quality of success rate in this stretch run.
Unfortunately, there's also other teams on the schedule that you should have thus far, and you haven't. And so that's the problem. That feels like who you are, and that feels like what's going to be revealed is a roller coaster where maybe you hope to go 9-8 and win the division, which is a lot of fun, and I'll cheer for. But again, yes, we'll have to have objective conversations after the year about what needs to be done.
You have one team, T-Bob, in your final 7 games with a winning record. One team, the Detroit Lions, and you get that one at home. Are they good? Yeah, they're really good. But that's the team. You go to the Falcons. You play the Panthers, who are god-awful. You play the Giants, who are god-awful. You go to L.A. and play the Rams, bad football team. You go to the Bucs. We know that one's not going to be roll the helmets out there. That one still will have some juice to it. It'll be tough. And then you get the Falcons at home to finish your season. It couldn't line up any better.
No, but the thing is, I hear that schedule, and I mean, every game feels like a coin flip.
And that's
the problem. After what we've seen through 10
but
games,
that's the problem, though.
Yeah, I agree.
With this roster, with as healthy as you've stayed for the most part.
Oh, yeah, that's the other part about this year. Who told me that the other day? A casual convo. But, yeah, Jake, not only do they have the easiest schedule in the NFL, they're like, if not the healthiest, they're top 3.
That was
you, yeah. They're like top 3 healthiest in the NFL. That's what you always pray for and hope for.
I mean, with the talent that they have on this roster to stay healthy.
Ain't no excuse.
I would have said the record is 2 games better at minimum.
Should be. I mean, the Packers game still looms incredibly large. That was blown. The inexcusable first half against the Vikings is just that. Inexcusable. So figure it out, boys. 7 weeks. You want to shut us up? Go do it. That's what I'm saying. There ain't no opinion. Prove it with facts. Go win.
You go 10-7. You go 10-7, and I think that plays.
I mean, you kidding me? 5-2 over the final 7.
Of the 7 games that we just laid out,
you
should go 5-2 if you're doing the things that you need to do with what you have available.
Should.
I know.
Against the string of likely backup quarterbacks.
Like, what do they need to do for us to be like completely happy? You're saying you should go 5-2.
I think as a Saints, if you're a Saints fan or if you're someone that cares about what their record is, if they are not 10-7 at the end of this year, you should be highly disappointed.
I mean, yes,
easiest in the NFL.
Even if you have fun celebrating maybe like a 9-8 playoff berth or 8-9 wild card or something like that.
Yeah, you can still do that, but you should be disappointed.
You can still have fun, but yes, you can still be like, but these changes need to be made.
Yep.
So we gonna learn today. Jake, what's it take in the NFL to have a successful stretch run like Mickey Loomis is alluding to here?
I think you have to realize the opportunity that you have. You have to realize what your schedule is going to be. You have to realize how many division games you have coming up, and you have to kind of preach to each other. And Dennis Allen's going to do it, but also like the leadership of the team. You have to say, hey, look how many division games we have. And your goal, like as a team, is to win those division games and get into the tournament.
Yes.
Like that's your ultimate goal right now. And so when you see Falcons twice, when you see the Panthers, when you see the Bucks, that's really where you start that conversation, because Cam Jordan and all those leaders are saying, hey, we have the opportunity. We control our own destiny. And oftentimes in the NFL, you don't get that opportunity. So I guarantee you that's the message. These division games against teams that we should go out there and be successful against are still in front of us, right? So if we go take care of those 4 games, we're in. Yep. We're in and just get into the tournament. So I bet that's the message right now. And with 4 of those being the last 7, I think you can create that consistency that we're talking about. I think. You got to go out there and prove it.
Again, like you said, I think we should, but we'll see. Shane Smith, maybe the Saints aren't as talented as everyone thinks.
See, but they are.
That's the problem is, though, that, like, I agree with you, but there's no way to prove it unless, like, an Alvin Kamara would go to a more functional team and you get to see what he would do. Or, like,
there's a reason that, like, when the Saints had a couple of free agents last year, like, certainly on the defensive side of the football, man, teams jumped on those guys.
Yeah,
right? I mean, they were day 1, day 2 free agents. They weren't week 1, down the road, last day of the first week, right? And that's how free agency in the NFL works. Like, if you sign in the first 3 days of free agency, you're a dude. Like, teams wanted you. Now, if you sign a week after that, 2 weeks after that, you got question marks. I mean, they were having guys sign, it felt like almost every single day when we came on and did the show. And you still have a bulk of talent. Even if it's not working out, like, they're talented players. Like we talk about on the offense and defensive lines for the Saints. I mean, there's so many first-round picks on both sides of the line of scrimmage, right? And you've seen flashes, but you haven't seen consistency from those guys. On the offensive side. On the defensive side, as our guy Hold DeMayo says, you couldn't find some of those guys with a search warrant because they're just not available. But you still have talent.
Yeah.
I mean, name a position for the Saints that they don't have a talented player. Like, think about all the money they spent in free agents. Well, okay. I mean, like safety, right? You went and spent out a ton of money to get Marcus May, and you brought in Tyron. Corner, how many guys you've drafted with Paulson Adebo and Lattimore and Alante Taylor. I mean, we could go position by position. You got DeMario Davis and Pete Warner. Like, you look at the talent of this roster, and you could argue it's one of the top. It feels like top 8, top 5 talented rosters. That doesn't mean that they're going to be a top 5, top 8 football team. But as far as the talent on this roster, they even have pieces like a Taysom Hill where there's no comp on the offensive side of the football. So talent's not the issue. It's now in this coaching staff that has not had a lot of success in their history to get the most out of it during this 7-game stretch where you have the opportunity to play 4 games in your division and go get into the postseason, something you haven't done.
So we're going to see, man. We're going to find out. Enjoy this brief respite this weekend as much as you can, right? I kind of wish we had football that was going to make me want to tear my heart out this weekend. But enjoy it because next week it's going to be intense, boys. And I ain't talking Native American. So it's a really bad joke. Get it? Wow. Just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the 2 guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.